Hey, what's up, fam? And welcome back again to Recap Kickback. It's me, Chappell, and I am back to talk to you about the remainder of the show we started talking about last week. That's right, we're talking about Forever, episodes 5 through 8. So if you did not catch our last recap of episodes 1 through 4, please go back and listen to that. And then come and listen to us talk about the remainder of the season and talk about what we thought about it overall as a show. With me, as usual, Forever, Mari. Welcome back.
Yes, glad to be wrapping up this series. It's been a fun, enjoyable, often frustrating ride, but I'm glad I get to talk about it with you too.
All right. And yes, you're correct. There are two of us here to talk about it with you. Back again after, her introduction last week for episodes 1 through 4. It's Mika from Entertainment in Color.
Mika, what's up? Hello. Glad to be back because, like I said, this full series was amazing. And talking about it is my jam right now. So I'm so excited to talk about these last 4 episodes because my favorite episode was in this one block, which is episode 5. I loved episode 5. And we got some good news this week. After we recorded, I think it was literally the next day, we got the best news ever.
Oh, yes. We got a renewal of Forever for season 2. Netflix is already like, bring us more. And so maybe, just maybe, we got more to talk about. Mari, did you see that?
I did. I saw that immediately, and I feel so bad for Heartstopper fans right now, because Heartstopper was not renewed for another season, which is ridiculous because it's based off of like 18 books or something like that. Like Heartstopper is based off a good series of books, from what I understand, and Forever, the source material ran out halfway through the season, so I am very curious to see what a season 2 is going to look like, but I'm glad that it's going to happen because the whole team, I'm glad they're employed again. But honestly, I'm glad to step back into Keisha and Justin's world. When I tell you, we told y'all last week, the chemistry between the two of them was just impeccable, and it really sealed the series. So I don't mind it. I want to see more. I want to see where they maneuver.
I agree.
Yeah. When this ended, if I hadn't known, because I didn't watch up through episode 8 before I saw that it got renewed. So had this ended and it wasn't renewed, I honestly would have been okay with the story the way they left it. Like I would have been fine. And I typically hate that. When Mari and I talked about How to Die Alone, and I was just like, no, bring it back. And then Mari let them go ahead and cancel it, even though I told her, I expressly said, we can't speak that, Mari. We can't do that. They're going to take it from us. And they did. And so this time around, I was like,
and that was a good series too. Like that.
It was a great series.
They owe us. And so this time around, I was like, okay, be okay with this. Be okay with this because they're going to play in your face. They're going to take it from you again like they did How to Die Alone. And I already knew we got our season 2. So very excited to come back and talk about Forever. Mika, you have to join us if we come back and talk about season 2, obviously.
Absolutely. I'm ready and waiting.
In 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Those kids will be
not Bridgerton. They better not. They better not. Please.
Bridgerton pissed me off. Like
Bridgerton pisses me off. Literally, they also renewed Bridgerton, and they're like,
2 more seasons.
2 more seasons. We'll get them in 2-year block. Like the next one is going to be 4 years.
My kids are going to be grown by the time Bridgerton.
Yeah. Them Stranger Things kids are older than me. Okay, and so they don't care.
Truly,
they don't care.
It's been like 10 years. With the Stranger Things.
Yeah, it's been 10 years, damn it.
Poor
and so,
babies.
So we will one day come back, and Mika's gonna join us. We one day come back and talk about Forever. But in the meantime, Mari, we do have some other housekeeping to talk about. Your Fourth Wing series. Did you get my text message? Michael B. Jordan is now going to be adapting this Fourth Wing novel that you love so much and talked about here on Recap Kickback.
Yes, I saw that, and I am pleasantly intrigued. what is Michael B. Jordan finna do? But also, yes, also, I'm so excited. Like, I mean, the Fourth Wing books are already diverse. I'm not gonna be like, they about to throw some diversity up in there. Literally, if you read the books correctly, they're already diverse. So they really are. Now, again, I said read it correctly because the author clearly says that the main like love interest guy is melanated, not black, but I like Latinx vibes. That's how like
so we can get an Afro Latino in there.
The author herself, I believe, is of Latino heritage, I believe. So like, but people don't be depicting him like that in the fan art, and we are constantly fighting for our lives on like Fourth Wing Reddit. Like, that's not what he looks like. He is tanner than that. So I'm excited. Like, if you're gonna give me like diverse young adult dragons by produced by Michael B. Jordan, I'm here for it. Now I'm really wondering if Michael B. Jordan gonna stick himself in there because I cannot think of a role like
you'll get your old ass out of this book. Yeah,
I cannot think of a role, and I might have to hit Kirsten up and ask her if she thinks he could squeeze himself in there some way. But yeah, I'm excited. Is it going to be for Amazon? Right? Is it?
Yes, for Amazon. Yes.
Oh yes. And Amazon does a pretty decent job of getting back to stuff quicker than like your Netflixes and your Hulus. So.
But we don't have like a potential like a year of release, do we?
No, but I mean like Fourth Wing, again, the source material, you already have 3 books out. I think Rebecca Yarrow said it's in at least a 5-book series. So you have plenty of source material. Honestly, the book that me and Kirsten reviewed, you could actually split that into 3 different seasons and it would make sense. Go and listen to our review about how much stuff happened in that book. So yeah, they have plenty of source material that it could be, everybody's chasing that, Game of Thrones. And Amazon has done a great job with like the Wheels of Time and the Lord of the Rings series. So yeah, I'm super stoked.
I saw on a Deadline article that they basically were saying that each book potentially in the series would have its own separate TV project. So what is the second book is going to drop in November, I guess. And so each one would be its own separate show. It wouldn't be like different seasons. It would be, this is the Fourth Wing show. This is the whatever Flame show. What I think it was called. What is it called? The next book?
Iron Flame
show. Yeah, they would each be their own separate entity if Amazon has its way. And so we shall see what happens. But you're right. If you can make multiple seasons out of each one of them, then you could get Fourth Wing season 1, 2, and 3. But you could also get Iron Flame, seasons 1, 2, and 3 as well.
I think you can comfortably get 2 seasons. Like if it was a 2, I would do 2. Right. I would say 2 seasons out of the first one. Like it would be dragging it if you get 3 out of it, pun intended. If you get 3 out of the first book, the second book, you could possibly get 3. You could definitely get 3 out of the second book. The third book, no shit, 4. You can get 4 seasons out of the third book, the one that me and Kirsten reviewed. Like I said on the podcast, I went to that audiobook. That audiobook is 24 hours.
Yeah.
24 hours, crazy. So they could comfortably get 4 seasons out of that book. So that's okay. That's cool. That's real cool. Just do them back to back though. Like film them back to back.
Yeah, I love Michael B. Jordan's production stuff. He makes good choices. He also picked up Static Shock, and we just never got it. Yeah,
serious.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed in it. The only other thing was that, like you were saying, he kind of wanted to stick himself in as Static Shock. But
you're too goddamn old. You're too old, Michael.
You're old.
I'm about to text Kirsten right now. Keep going.
Like but I really wanted. I love Static Shock. So I was waiting on it, but he never did it. But he did do Raising Dion. I don't know if you guys have heard that on Netflix.
I heard great things about that.
It was great.
They canceled it.
Yes, they did cancel it after 3 seasons.
I thought it was 2 seasons. 2
Yeah,
seasons.
Yeah. And I think it was mostly due to COVID. But my son and I loved that show. I actually had to break the news to him that it was canceled. It was so good though. And he was in that one as well. It was great. Yeah, it was really, really good. So he does really good productions. As long as they get off the ground, I'm still waiting on Static Shock.
Yeah. Well, we shall see what's coming next from Michael B. Jordan. Mari, you recently were on a hell of a train ride. I saw this on Gina's social media that Amtrak was playing in y'all faces. Mari, what happened?
Oh, we just got stuck on the train for like 3 hours in the middle of the Virginia wilderness with a 1-year-old.
It just stopped?
With no electricity, no power. They said that the engine ran into a tree and cracked a windshield.
Like it just like took off running.
When I tell you, when I say that sentence to everybody, their face looks exactly like that. And that's literally all they told us for 3 hours. Like, it was like they told us that. They all like barricaded themselves within the cafe car, which they closed right after we stopped. And nobody came through those cabins. Like,
so y'all was just on there, just chilling.
Oh, not chilling. I thought I was about to be by hour 2. I was like, oh, it's getting real Hunger Games up in here. Like, people were plotting mutinies. Like, people 3 seats over was like, my phone is about to die. We need food. Like, it was like,
that's what y'all get for riding Gen Pop. Was y'all in general? Like, y'all didn't get the first class seat and the good seats. Y'all was in there with the general population, with the normies.
No. I could not go to business class with a 1-year-old. You know
see, Gen Pop is where it gets real.
In car just for herself.
Right.
And how much that cost? It costs a lot. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I regret it. So a 14-hour ride turned into an 18-hour ride.
Yikes. Nope. Well, so when's your next train ride?
Oh, never. Yeah, never.
I don't blame her. I told you I did it one time and my kids were older. They weren't grown, but they were older. And it was a one and done for me. We went from New Jersey to North Carolina for a track meet. And I was just like, yeah, not doing this again.
Never again.
Never again.
Okay. Well, thanks for the update, Mari. Thoughts and prayers to all those people on that tragic train ride. But let's get into our show, Forever. Mari, episodes 5 through 8. Before we even get into it, the season ends. You know, we're gonna talk about it. Obviously, when it first goes off, what is your knee-jerk reaction? Did you like what overall? Were you a big fan of the show? You seen it all now? What did you think?
My knee-jerk reaction was, I am now in the age, the social status where I watch these teen love shows and all I do is criticize. Yep, it's from the parents' perspective, and all I do is criticize the parenting. But no, I and then I try and remind myself like this was what it was like being like 16. Like everything was your whole entire world. Yep. It was the end of the world. Everything was over dramatic, and you can't fault the characters for being kind of dumb. So yes, exactly. Dumb kids, immature kids,
undeveloped brain.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Mika, that word forever. Yes. It's like, it was the title. But every time these 17-year-olds said forever, I was like, now you don't even know what you're talking about. Stop forever. You don't know forever. Y'all some babies. Stop saying I'm there too. I've now aged into the point where I'm like, you don't know what you know about forever. You don't know nothing about forever. You need to worry about your schoolwork. Worry about your books. Look at them books forever. Get into them grades forever. So I too was in that same position where I knew it was called forever, but I started to think, maybe these kids need to reel it back in. Let's get back to reality a little bit, because forever is a lot to be planning when you're 17, 18 years old.
very true. I will say, at 18, I thought I met my forever. And my now ex-husband, and I met each other in middle school, went to prom together, just like two characters, had our daughter at the end of college, got married, had our next two. But over time, we just grew apart. So while I know he's not my person, we still have a lot of love for each other. Today was his birthday. I sent him a text, happy birthday. He sent me my birthday text last month. Sometimes some things are forever. Like, we'll forever be in each other's life. We'll forever have love for each other. And this is a story that started when we were teenagers. But some things aren't meant to be forever, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I agree, and it's kind of on the same boat. I met my forever person, who I'm currently still with, at 19, going on 20, and even I was kind of like, "Ooh, y'all doing the most right now." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, girl, shut the
fuck up!" Like, look around.
Too. So kind of like, so it's just it. Yeah, it's like anything you get in, like in life, you should always approach it as it is forever, but you should always prepare you should be able to be equipped for when it isn't, should I say. You shouldn't prepare yourself, you shouldn't always think it's not going to be, but you should be equipped if it's not. So I mean, it's just a powerful kind of message of like hope and first love and understanding yourself and trying to figure out who you are at such a young age. And thank the good Lord Jesus that, again, like, I don't want to again gloss over Keisha's trauma of the leaked sex tape, but at least she was able to get some resolve from that, and at least we didn't see anything else traumatic. You know,
right? Right.
There were points where we were
close calls.
Yes,
there were close calls, and we will get to that for sure.
Yes, they were like, "Are we gonna do it? Are we gonna do it?"
And I was like, "You better not do it. You better not do it." So yeah, this is gonna be such a fun conversation. I can already tell. So, episode 5, y'all's favorite episode. Stop. Pause. How did I forget the soundtrack? We didn't talk about it last episode, but that soundtrack, the music. You know, Mari, you know how I go up for a soundtrack.
You're the music man. Tell us.
Man, I'm just saying, every episode they was pulling out like the love tracks. They were pulling out like the transition. When they pulled out like the Frank Ocean in that last episode, I want to say, I said, see what y'all doing over there? The Daniel Caesar. I said, oh, y'all, who did this? I said, who put all of this together as far as this soundtrack goes? Because it was some heat.
Yeah.
Over and forever.
A specific person did the soundtrack, but I will give flowers to Mara. Mara told the person who was in charge of the full soundtrack, listen, like, this is the time frame the music has to come from. And again, remember, this is Black love. This is two young Black people. That's the vein that we need to stick to. Mara did her thing on this soundtrack. Now, if you haven't seen the actual full soundtrack, if you go to my YouTube page, I have the Google playlist. If you don't have Apple Music or Spotify, but they are also on Apple Music and Spotify, but I actually recreated those two playlists onto my Google, and so it's in my YouTube under playlist. But that it's such a good soundtrack. Like, I've listened to some of the songs like off and on, and then there's the main Forever soundtrack, which has the instrumentals and some of the other like original songs.
Yeah, I was it's like almost like every song hit, and I was like, man, do you really know how to pull us in? But you're right, it's a period piece. This is 2018, 2019 as we're going into episode 5. One thing I will say is that 2019, they managed to make this show and not even acknowledge COVID at all, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy that we can make TV shows. Yeah, we could make TV shows where, I mean, well, technically what this is, this is the beginning of like the end, basically of like the pre-COVID days. I don't want to come back for season 2 and be like, and then they were virtual, unless you finna send them back home. If send them back home and let them shelter in place, then we might have,
I think that's what.
Yeah,
they put out 2020 out there at the end there. He was like, a gap year, and then 2020 I'll go back.
Right.
I was like, what?
I started shaking my head. I like living in a world where we don't have to deal with that. I like my imaginary made up world where it's like the kids didn't have to go through the the COVID years, but it's real. It happened.
Yeah, I am of two mindsets. So someone that I follow throughout there, like I kind of hope they do for season 2 flashbacks maybe to their college period, but jump us forward so that we don't get COVID. And I kind of like that idea. And I actually think that they could do like what we talked about last episode with even mom and dad, some flashbacks where we get like the younger mom and dad and their kind of love story, and like build that into like really, really delve into some of those other conversations without just giving us a full season of COVID.
Yeah, I agree. So we hop into this episode, 2018, Martha's Vineyard, 3 months after the big prom thing happened. Obviously, Keisha went to the prom with her ex. So this was like their biggest source of conflict. Our guy Justin had to block her. And so she has now gone to Martha's Vineyard to go find this boy. And I said, see, y'all already got me back in. Episode 5, and she is searching the island looking for this boy because she knows his family goes there. I mean, this is incredible that she is going into like popping into arcades and stuff like that. Like, she down bad. She down bad for my boy Justin. And honestly, the little will they, won't they that they've been doing where they block each other and didn't have to go chase each other down. I wasn't mad at it. I really wasn't, because I felt like the way that they, like, he obviously needed space to be with his feelings, and to sit with, what that looked like. But she also, I like that the show also showed her kind of yearning for his attention just as much as he was yearning for hers. It wasn't like this one-sided thing where she could block him and he's always knocking on the door. It's like, no, sometimes you mess up and it's reciprocated, right? It's neither one of them is putting more effort in toward the relationship than the other, because the same way she tracked him down to Martha's Vineyard, he was going to stop at nothing. He contacted all her kindergarten classmates to get her attention. So I really did appreciate this. But Mika, what was it about episode 5 that really stood out to you? It made it your favorite episode?
So many things, but I love that Keisha did her big one and went there to get her man's back, as we heard Shannon say. And we'll talk about Shannon. But I also love that they spotlight, while we're saying, it's a big island. You kind of already know where to find the black people.
Find the black people. Yep.
That's right.
Right over there.
They're like, Oak Bluff. Oak
Bluff.
Chloe's like, that's where the black people be.
Yes.
I was kind of mad she was right too. Like,
I mean, you're right.
Yes, I mean, historically, that is the truth. If you watch Summer House, Martha's Vineyard, you know that all the black people congregate on Oak Bluff area of that island, and so she knew exactly where to go because she had these conversations with Dawn and Eric about them summering in Martha's Vineyard, and so she knew where that's where they would be. And shout out to Chloe, because her family they summer somewhere else, but she was right on with her girl, going after her guy. Nothing out of it for herself except for being the best girlfriend in the world, right? To her girl, Keisha. So listen, I love that they showed that from Chloe, because I do think a lot of people were side-eyeing Chloe, but I think Chloe really solidified herself as the friend, right? Like, everything she has done has been super supportive of Keisha. And I love that she did this for her and with her. Like you see her at points where she needed her strength. She's holding her hand. And she, you know, she's also like keeping her calm. She's like, we're going to find him. You're going to find him. It's going to happen for you. And also finding ways to allow her to go out and explore on her own and find Justin herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is how you use your privilege.
Yeah, that's how you show up for as an ally. Exactly.
You use your money, your privilege, everything to help.
Because that was boring. I'm sorry, and I love to read, but I'm just like, she's like, "Oh, we're not going anywhere." And Keisha started, "What do you mean? Like, no, we're still here."
Yeah, I didn't come all the way to the Hamptons to sit here and read a book. I'm sorry. We about to go get outside. And outside they got. Now, Mari, this is very entertaining to me because this is something that I hadn't been tracking as we got to episode 5 because we really didn't have to. But now we have to talk about the parents, as you said. And Justin's mom bumps into Keisha. And so when she comes home, she's like, yeah, I seen that heifer. I said, oh, not that heifer.
When she said heifer, I was like, oh no.
That's right. The black mama vocabulary. Right yeah, she's done. It's over. Mari, what did you think about Justin's mom now that she I'll set it up like this. In the first few episodes, she was very accepting of Keisha. Very much so. Like, I mean, I was very surprised with how often she had that girl over at her house. You know, they were getting a lot of freedom that I just wasn't allowed when I was growing up. That said, by this time, she is now switched to protective mom mode and she is not having it. She called that girl a heifer. I was like, yep, heard this one before. What you think about this? Almost like this shift in the characteristics of his mom away from Keisha and more kind of to bring him in and as a protective mother figure.
I mean, like a lot of people might find Justin's mom insufferable. My husband withstanding as well. I was like, not too much on her. She does make a few missteps, a lot of missteps throughout the series, but the end of the day was she just didn't want to see her son hurt. Like everything, all of her issues, problems, whatever, negative traits you can say stem from her just worrying about him and being overprotective of him. And I can relate, I do not know how I'm going to be once my kids reach teenage years. So we'll see. But like it was, what do you expect? She saw her son sit in his room for months, just crying because this girl broke up with him and she didn't know the context of everything that's going on. So basically she thinks they're dating. She finds out about this ex that you're like, is she playing in his face? And he's like, nah, we're still good. They're back together. They're hanging out every day. And then all of a sudden she's going to prom with the ex again. And now my son is in his room crying and I can't get him out. Yeah. I'm not like that lady either. I'm sorry. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just how it is. So I wasn't shocked. I thought it was very truthful. I thought it was very, very truthful. It was very real. Like calling her a heifer and be like, hey Keisha.
Hey Keisha.
Even her like when Keisha's going to ask about Justin in the arcade and she's like, oh, like that's where the line stops.
Right. Yep. We don't do that. We don't play about that. Yeah. That. You know whose camp I'm in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She was real for that.
Yeah, fair.
That said, thank God for Justin's dad. Because there are so many moments where he like, okay, I understand. I see that protective instinct that you have, but also can the kid handle this on his own? Like, can you allow him to be 17 years old and have this conversation? He didn't need your permission to go date the girl. He went and did that on his own. It's not like you were there in that process. So if he wants to rekindle this, you can give him the opportunity to do that. And his dad does have like a decent conversation with him as well, telling him like, look, I know you got to block, but you got to unblock her because if you still like her and then you're going to have to go through the hard parts as well. You can't just run from it every time it gets hard. And so I appreciated his dad doing that. Justin will go and meet Keisha, and once they link up, and it's like they never left each other. And I was happy to see that because there's this other girl, Summer, and she was in the mix. What's her name? Is it Shannon? No, Shannon. This other girl, Shannon. She was in the mix. And Shannon, Mika, I'm sure you have some things to say about her. She was hot. She was ready. She was ready to go.
Oh my God.
She was ready to go.
It's so funny because in the conversation with Dad, he's saying, because he says, "Oh, you and Mom getting divorced," and he's like, "What? No."
Yeah.
He's like, "Listen, if your mom and I ever get a divorce, understand she left me." And he's like, "Well, Mom can be a lot." He's like, the thing about women who are a lot is that, like, basically, like, we just need to come harder. And it's actually the truth. That's what a lot of men don't understand. Women hold a lot, put up with a lot, do a lot. And then that just means you got to meet them. Like, you either have to meet them at that level or above in order for it to work. And, and he's like, now there's other women who are a lot for other reasons, but we'll talk about that. And I said, that's Shannon.
No.
That is Shannon. Now listen, Shannon comes with, she comes with a good resume. She's the play cousin, right? Mom and their moms have been, friends since elementary school. They the parents, like, they could unite the families.
Right. Some Game of Thrones.
Beware of the play cousin.
The play cousin is wild. When she said that, because I take my play cousins very seriously. Once I call you cousin, you off the map. Like, cousin.
For some people.
That woman said we could be kissing cousin. I said, Shannon.
Yeah.
Shannon, that's not a thing. Stop saying that. Stop normalizing kissing cousins. It's not a thing. Stop it. Shut it down. Yeah. But she said, I'm ready. She said, hey, I want to lose my virginity to you. You should lose yours to me. Because what else are we doing? I trust you. You seem nice. Whatever. We can work our way through it together. And so she was about to make her move, but luckily, Keisha comes back and they kind of rekindle and then also lose their virginity to each other. Now, that said, we never see Shannon again in this series, season 1. Mari, you think there's any room for our girl Shannon to come back in season 2?
Well, I don't know, because this is where the book source material runs out. So I looked into Forever the book, once I finished. And technically the book source material, with the kind of gender swap of the main characters and stuff, like, it ends at that summer kind of. Yeah. And it ends with the main character going off. Like, if this were true to the book, he would have went off with Shannon. Mm-hmm. He would have said goodbye to Keisha, and the last thing we would have seen was him, like, going off to meet Shannon. So because we're off script now, she could always come back, and she's, again, their families are still going to be close, so it's not like she's not going to be there. I could definitely see a thing where they come back after, they're both the same age. She said she wanted to lose it before college. I could definitely see her coming back and them kind of like recapping their tales of what they did, you know what I'm saying? And that offer can always still be on the table. So they could definitely bring her back in season 2. Why not?
Yeah. I think she was a good contrast to what if you watch the entire series, Keisha is led to, like, it's led to believe Keisha is a certain way that she's really not, right? Like, in this series, like, we saw Shannon's boobs, right? Like, and in this series, we saw nothing of Keisha.
I missed that?
Yeah.
Yeah, she just pulled her titties out, Mari, on the beach. She was like, you want to see? I was like, oh my God. Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't remember that part. Oh, thank you.
Okay. Listen,
he was like, we cousins. And she said, still? And I was like, oh,
yeah. I will never slut shame. Like,
yeah, that's what I said. She was ready to go, but like, I ain't shaming her for it. It's just, that's your play cousin.
But I think she's a good contrast to who we know Keisha now is as a base, and that upper level of being well aware of your sexual wants and needs. You know what I mean? And also the things that might come with that. So I definitely can see her coming back. Would I want her with Justin? Absolutely no. But that's
absolutely
just
not. Yeah. We're all in on this relationship at this point, so it is what it is. Now we do get some conflict here. There's a few things that we have to flag up because they're important to the series. One, Justin will hear some negative talk coming from his loved ones. His play uncle is like, or his uncle, I guess, is like, hey, this boy ain't going to college. He not going to college to play no basketball. He got to look into something else. Like, he's starting to get these negative reinforcement right around the time him and Keisha, start to come back together and they hook up for the first time. But then we also get the big controversy here, where I thought was actually going to be way bigger, and I'm so glad the show wrapped it up really quickly, was his mom runs into a lady named Joanne, who she went to, she knows her from back in the day. Their kids went to school together, and she just casually brings up like, oh yeah, Keisha with the sex tape, and just airs that girl's business out. And the look on Dawn's face, I was like, oh, she's not gonna like this at all, because I know she's thinking this girl fast and she did this, that, and the other, and he don't know about the sex. Like, she was ready to shut. Like, I can't believe this heifer had that nerve. I was like, all right, Dawn, slow down. What'd you think about this reveal, Mari? That because it never even occurred to me that she could find out for somebody else.
Right. Yeah. Right. I felt bad for Keisha. I just truly felt bad for Keisha, because why are you as a parent gossiping about another person's child like that? Like, not a good look on you, Miss Joanne. Whatever your name was. Yeah, Joanne. Joanne. Yeah, and how they approached Justin about the sex tape was interesting. Yes. But like you said, they did resolve it pretty quickly. So it was like a build up, it was like a wind up, and like for a regular pitch. So I was okay with how it worked out. So
I was very impressed with how Justin handled this, because these are the types of conversations that I've had to have with my mom about, just like at like some point you have to put your foot down about like being direct about what you will and won't stand for, like as a young man. Right. And so when they have this conversation, it starts off like, she's a nice girl, but did you know about the sex tape? And he had already decided he wasn't going to judge her for that, and that he loved her regardless. And so all of this is like, what do you want me to do with that information, Mama? Is my next action to go? That is a quote. I could call my mom right now, and she would tell you that, like, yes, you ask me all the time, what do you want me to do with this? Because sometimes she's giving her motherly input, but at the same time, you can't change what's about to happen, or you can't change what's already has happened, right? And so she's kind of like, well, now that you know, clearly we're about to wrap this up. He's like, no, why would I judge her? You didn't raise me to judge her. This isn't how I was brought here. She made a mistake when she was 16, and I'm supposed to just like throw her to the wolves now because you heard the word from somebody else. This is why I don't tell you nothing. And I'm thinking, like, this is right out of my script. And so his dad promptly throws the mom under the bus and says, "This is her."
One and only time he's like,
he wasn't in on this.
It wasn't me, right? Like,
he gave it at one time, but he had to like, hey, I was fine, But they readdress it. I really thought that might have been it. Like, he might have shut it down, but no. This conversation ends up evolving into, okay, well, you know about the sex tape. I know about the sex tape, but does her mom know about the sex tape? And as a parent, it's now my duty to reach out to her and tell the mom if she don't tell the mom. Mark, is this the part where James is like, I'm done?
Of course it is. But for me, it was just like, it's like annoying, right? Because it's like, I thought she was doing a lot. Right? She was doing a lot. She was basically forcing their hand. But I know that if I was Shelly, Keisha's mom, I would have appreciated this.
I would want to know.
I would definitely want to know. Like, Justin's mom has a lot of tendencies that remind me of my mother. So this case in point, I was like, oh, that would definitely be some my mom would do. Definitely. So I think that's why I'm just used to how she moves. But if I'm Shelly, I would definitely want to know. And then now we're going to talk about, we'll talk about how Shelly handles it later, but
yeah,
I would be so sad if, like, when Shelly says, so everybody knows but me, like that would have been so deflating. You know what I'm saying? Like
as a parent,
as a parent,
even as a person, just like knowing the relationship you had with your daughter, and you feel like
exactly
this traumatic thing, I'm the last one to know.
Exactly. And all of those feelings that Shelly went through, like, I wasn't able to protect you, I want to protect you now, like all of those feelings that she went through. She when she says I'm sorry, Chappell, I didn't want to jump
ahead.
forward, but like, because of this ultimatum that Dawn gives Justin and Keisha does end up telling Shelly the next day, and Shelly does not respond to it well at first. I was like, Shelly, like she snapped off on Keisha. Again, Chappell will have all of the details, but once she like lets it settle and stuff like that, I just sympathize with her, because she's just like, now the whole neighborhood think we don't give a fuck.
We don't care about our kids. Yeah.
We don't care. When she was like, wait, why did you go to prom with him? That would have set me the hell off. Sorry. But I would have been so mad if you tell me that this boy put you in this horrible position and then you went to prom with him because you thought I would want it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was a lot. I felt so bad for Shelly in that situation, just because I could see myself in her roles. I like clearly Keisha is the main victim here, you know what I'm saying? But I felt so bad for Shelly. That helplessness that she says, like how am I supposed to help you? I just want to help you and I don't know how to. So
yeah, it's fair. I feel like as a parent, I'm like in the middle of a Dawn and a Shelly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which I love. There are moments when I could be Dawn and I have to talk myself off the ledge, right? Like I don't necessarily need therapy for it. I just need my internal monologue to say, do I really want to do this with the child now? Right. You know, like the other day, like my older son who's graduating decided he didn't want to go to prom. And I'm just like, oh my God, he has to go to prom. Like all his friends are going to prom. Like it's a big deal. Now, for me, my daughter missed prom because she graduated 2020. So she missed prom. Now he's not going to prom. And my ex-husband was like, no, we can't force him. And I was like, because again, also my son is autistic. So he has like, some antisocial tendencies. But I'm just like, I don't want him to ever regret that. Right. Like, and ultimately, I had to take myself and put myself to the side and said, you're making this about you instead of about him. And I feel like there are moments when Dawn was making it about her, and there are moments when Shelly was making it about her. Yeah. And they're different, like different ends of the spectrum, but that's what it ultimately was coming down to. Yeah. And feel like that's why I'm glad that I'm that happy medium in between the two, but also I can understand and be very like reflective of, I get it. Like I get where Shelly was coming from. I get where Dawn was coming from. Absolutely.
Dawn won me over with when she said the village failed Keisha, but this family will not. Like that's how my mama raised me. Like, hey, we're not gonna leave nobody out in the cold. We just don't do that. Not in this family. If y'all can leave her out in the cold, but we don't do that. But I definitely was like, I don't know about why you gonna force her. Because then I think I start to think I can't trust you with stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like if I tell you this and and now this girl then got kicked out of her house or something like that crazy, it's your fault. Are you gonna bring her in if something happens? You know what I'm saying? Like that's where I'm at. But I was really I agree ultimately that Shelly needed to know. Now, Shelly's reaction, Mari, as you said, she ask all the questions, but she asked them completely the wrong questions. She's asking in the tone is just not very understanding. There's no give there. It is a lot of just like, you would have thought this was happening in the real time, but to her credit, or I guess in her defense, she's learning this right now, right? So for her, this is happening right now. So she's reacting to it. She lost me when she like, we got to get this kid persecuted for this, because the reason she lost me there is because Keisha is begging her not to do it and saying, I've got closure with this. I don't want him to get in trouble. I was involved. I don't want any parts of that. That moment where you start to go expressly against somebody's wishes like that, when it comes to their own victimhood, like, that's where I'm like, all right, because you don't get to decide that, that for her, especially if she doesn't want to. And I know that can be hard, but it's like retribution is not going to, like, it's not going to make the sex tape go away. Him getting in trouble is, if anything, it's just going to highlight that it happened. It's going to bring a lot of unwanted attention to her, because he is the next Kobe, the next LeBron James, right? So this would be, and I'm not saying she shouldn't speak up. If Keisha wants to speak up, go by all means, she should. But that is not your job, Shelly. So that's where Shelly lost me. I was like, I need you to really on this one.
Yeah. But again, it was just that feeling of helplessness. It's that feeling of, I'm angry. I didn't get to protect you. Somebody needs to pay for this. She kept saying, somebody needs to pay. Somebody needs to pay. And it's like, but for Keisha's past this. Keisha's processed this. Keisha's had longer to process it. Shelly did not have that time. She was trying to process it right then and there, and processing it as in, I failed my daughter. And she felt like she failed her multiple ways. Like when she first told her, I think she called her stupid. She's like, how could you be so stupid? You know what I'm saying? I believe was one of the things she said. She realized she failed her because she was not a safe space for her daughter to tell her her thing. Like what would have crushed me as a parent, because I've come on all of these podcasts and talked about my parenting style like over and over, but like one of the main things that I know is that I want to be that space, that safe space for my kids, because my mom provided that for me. My mom and my dad provided that for me. So I want to make sure I provide that for my kid. So, but there's also, so much you can do, right? Because I think she said Shelly used to be her emotional safe space. She said it. But I think what was keeping Keisha from telling her wasn't necessarily like 90% of it, what she thought would be Shelly's reaction. I think 90% of it was herself feeling like she failed Shelly, because she said it a few times. She said, I don't want my mom to think lesser of me. I don't want her to, to feel like I failed her. And again, Shelly was like, maybe I didn't make the space comfortable enough for you to know that wasn't going to be the case. So Shelly was just going through it. Like she was truly going through it. Because she's just late to everything. Like
you think you're your child's best friend, and this is the problem with being a child's best friend. And why I try not to do that that's what I'm saying. There's a happy medium you have to have, because trying to be the best friend to your child, this is when you have those moments when it's like real parenting moments when you're like, oh frick, I'm not the best friend. You can't, there's no way you can truly be, when your child is younger than 20 something, their best friend. You just can't. And that was Shelly's mistake. That was her thought process mistake, that she, and I get it. It was just the two of them, that like, she's thinking it's the two of us against the world. Like, I made this mistake, but I got the brightest package out of it. And I'm going to make sure that we both thrive, and we're going to be together forever in this. And then ultimately what she realized is she just couldn't hold on to that. When you get to this time frame, to this period of your child's life, you can't be her best friend, because you're supposed to be there to guide her. But the guide that she was giving her was her own guide. It was, don't do what I did. do the opposite. Don't like you have to be better, you have to do this. And doing all of that, those types of lectures took her out of being her child's safe space, unfortunately.
Yeah. And it goes to show you too how difficult it is to be a single mom. You know, like if you contrast this with what's going on in Justin's house, when Dawn is reacting, you got dad to kind of balance it out, and vice versa. You know, they can give each other those parts of this conversations where you can be the friend this time and I'll be the heavy or something like that. Shelly's doing it on her own. So she doesn't have the space to like, she can like, I can give you friendship right now. But then when I have to be a parent, it's going to feel that much more harsh, you know, because now I have to shift so far away. And it's like you said, there's a medium, but it's just more difficult, you know? And so, yeah.
And I probably have a benefit because I do have an active other co-parent. Like, you know, we co-parent very closely. We live in, you know, he lives in the next town over from, we split the kids. So they're with me 1 week, they're with him the next week. We call, talk, text, whatever we have to do to ensure that we're all on the same page and our children are on the same page. Shelly didn't have that. We find out later in the series, like, dad is very, very absentee. Yeah. He's off chasing windmills.
But also, and we say all this too, but we're not even also addressing the real world implications of Keisha's sex tape as well. So not only is it all of the stuff that we've already talked about, but because of the sex tape, Keisha gets her mom to switch her schools. She leaves Brookwood, which she is there on a complete full scholarship. She's at Brookwood on a complete full scholarship. And because of what happens with the sex tape and Christian, you know, she's depressed, grades are slipping. Mom notices. She tells her mom, it's racism. I don't want to be in the school. Her mom takes her out of that school, puts her into a Catholic school, St. Maria. But this is not full ride tuition. And her mom now has to get a second job. Like we said, she's a single mother. She has to work to pay for this bill. So not only is she finding out this stuff about the sex tape and all of that, but now, you know, when she gets mad, she has to go to her second job. And Keisha's like, why won't you talk to me? She's like, I can't talk to you. I have to work because I have to pay for a school I can't afford. And again, like she said, you let that boy push you off of what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? You let him push you out of Brookwood. And that's another thing. If she had told her mom sooner, her mom could have been that backup in order for her to probably have the strength to stay there. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was going at it alone. Dawn said this girl was going at it alone. And of course, her thought process, if she's going at it alone, is to get herself out of there. But that caused like a ripple effect of, you know, of changing her and her mom's life. So again, that's another thing. If I'm Shelly, I'd be pissed about it. It's like, I'm really sitting here working 2 jobs, busting my butt for this school, thinking, if I'm thinking like, oh, it's because I want my daughter to go to a good school without having to experience microaggressions and racism, I'll gladly do that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'll gladly do it. But if I find out it's because there was a sex tape and basically she's paying for something that a boy did, I'm going off on somebody. Like, I'm going off.
She cut some people out. We find out
that it wasn't just Christian, because I don't think we understood at the point that it was Keisha sending the video to Christian.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? So
and the video was on her phone. She feels so guilty about it.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want him to get in trouble because I shouldn't have sent it to him in the first place. You know, like in her mind, she's like, I messed up on my own, and then he messed up. And so she's carrying all of that, which is another reason why she should have told her mom a long time ago. Because had she'd been able to process that a little bit better, and it wouldn't lead to all of this. But this is what happens when I guess you don't feel like you can talk to your parents about that kind of stuff. You try to keep it and handle it on your own. And even, you know, on a deeper level, a lot of times when stuff traumatic happens, it might not be a parent, but you need somebody to talk to. Don will suggest kind of calmly, you know, but not in the most tactful way, Shelly, get therapy. You know, I go to therapy. You could try therapy. I'm just saying it can help. And so
it was the truth but it was not tactful.
It wasn't tactful at all. She was like, girl, have you seen a therapist? But yeah. So all that to say, Keisha eventually moves out. Her mom goes and apologizes, and they get back on the same page. But in the meantime, the person who is there for her the most is Justin, and he got a new Jeep. And so now he can get around. He can pick her up. They can go hook up and stuff like that. They're doing all the things that the high schoolers do when they get a new car. But here's the moment where I thought the show was about to play in my face. He drops her off. And after getting the speech from his dad about how to navigate these things, he gets to the stop sign, and you see the cop in the background. And I was like, no, not like this.
Like, why would they do this? My heart was racing. I was like, stop it.
Not like this.
I'm heavy breathing. He's heavy breathing. I'm like, oh my God, please. Because anxiety, like I have anxiety. I'm like, oh my God, no, please. I don't need this. Like, can we not do this? Can we not do this? We're dealing with enough right now. Do we have to do this?
We didn't need it. And they didn't do it. They played in our face, thank God. It reminds me of the last scene in Get Out, where it's like when all the things are said and done, and then you see the cop car pull up, you're like, no. God, it's Lorel. Never mind. It's Lorel. I ain't know it was you, baby. That's exactly how I reacted, and that just goes to show you the Black experience for sure. Is just like
it is.
Do not feel protected in those moments. You definitely that level of anxiety that we all felt. We knew where this could go, because it's a realistic possibility, and I like that we got those clips of his dad really trying to prepare him for that. His mom reminding him that you're a Black man in America. Like those are conversations that need to be had with most young Black men for sure, just so that they understand what they're up against, in a normal situation. So luckily that worked out. But also in his back and forths to the ghetto, he also gets to kick it at her cousin Tiffany's house while she's doing braids, and we hear music blaring from the other room. It's a guy named Rodney who's in the next apartment, and Justin has to go and ask him to turn his music down. And once they do, they talk and they kind of bond over the music thing. And the show has been hinting at this for episodes at this point, Mari, that Justin and music kind of have a thing. Maybe schoolwork might not be his thing, but music might work for him. Did you see this kind of being like the moment where we see the shift and him focusing a little less on school and more on music as a potential future?
Yeah, I when we were getting him playing with the beats a couple of episodes back, I was like, oh yeah, like I thought that was gonna be the direction we were gonna go in. I didn't understand why. Like, did they really explain like so Rodney is like the producer on the block?
I think
like,
he just is
actually
right there. Yeah, I think he just
right,
who got a studio.
like, but he's not like
he's not like Rodney. He's just like, oh, that's Rodney. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's what I thought. It took a while for him to get to that conclusion himself, though. It's too long for me.
He's not the quickest. This boy is not. He's not the quickest on the uptake, Justin. But I think that it was cool that he got there eventually. And Keisha is around to witness this kind of moment. These moments where he's really embracing the music part, and that'll be a theme that we get to throughout the rest of the season, Mika, is that she can see kind of like his potential in that area, even though he hadn't gotten there yet. And I think that's kind of one of her skills, is that she can bring out the best in him in those moments.
Yeah, I love that. The thing that I laugh about is like the discourse on this about Justin, like, spoiler, he kind of gives up some of the things his parents want for him in order to chase this dream. But I was like, but it was the things his parents wanted were never his dream. And his dream is to go play basketball, which, again, 1 in a million shot. Why are people upset that he decided not to go chase being in the NBA off of like a 12, for what all we've seen is a 12-point shot game?
Yeah.
Over being something that he could, yes, people are like, oh, well, the beats weren't that good. Obviously, he's in school.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's just a whiplash. It's again, and we'll see it as a motif throughout the last 3 episodes. It's like, what do you want to do, Justin? Justin, what do you want to do? Justin,
Justin,
what do you want to do? Like, because he fought so hard for him to be able to play basketball the year prior in the first few episodes. And then for him to be like, well, no, I want to do music. Like, it's too much back and forth. And again, his mom was overstepping. But honestly, like, from what we knew about his grades, from what we knew about his basketball, like she said to him when she was angry, he is not a viable candidate. He's not as good of a candidate without the basketball. But we're saying all this like we don't have a college like education guru on the podcast here. Chappell, can you tell us a little bit more about like I applied early decision. I got in Howard early decision. I did not realize that there's a difference. Like I was just like, let me get this out of the way. Like I didn't
No, there's a huge difference.
Yeah. So when you do early decision, it's basically like you saying like, admit me early, like, and I'm gonna come here. Like it's kind of like almost like a binding contract with them to say like, if you are letting me in, I won't go nowhere else. Like this is my only choice. Whereas like for me, like I did a Common App, which allows you to apply at like 10 different schools at once. Sent them all in. You know, like I didn't have that. But yeah, for him, he's basically like eliminating all his other choices and options by saying like this is the only school that I want, basically. And it makes them like look at your application even closer. And because it keeps you from like, oh well, this school gave me this much money and this school like it really takes the leverage out of your hands in order to get you into the school. And so
that makes sense.
Yeah. Now for him, he didn't try that hard to play basketball. In the first couple episodes, his coach is saying, you need to focus, you need to apply yourself, you need to do and he's just like, oh, okay, cool. So it's like basketball was his way to school. And then from there, he convinced himself that, and then I guess I got to go to the NBA because I don't even like school. So it's like, why am I going to school? I don't have a major. I don't have no reason to go to school. But so I guess next is the NBA. So when he finally sat back and thought about it, he's like, I don't even know if I want to go to school. Like, I don't even know if I want to go basketball. Like, why would I want to do that? And again, he's getting the negative reinforcement from his family members when they saying stuff like, you're not that good at basketball. But sometimes it's just realistic. There are a lot of kids that are playing basketball year round, essentially, in order to get in the NBA. All right. Steph Curry did not take summers off. You know, he played basketball year round. The AAU teams play year round. I'm talking about constantly. They never stop because they're trying to make themselves the best candidate to be on a basketball team, to go to college and to go to the NBA. If you like, I don't know, I like maybe I'll play this time, maybe I won't, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that. You are lacking the focus that it takes. Now, not to say that you cannot do it, but you need to apply yourself and focus on the thing that you need to do. His mom, she wasn't wrong when she told him, you can't afford to be wishy-washy. Like, if that is what you want, you need to go after it. But if not, you can go to college and explore. You can definitely do that. But like, if it's basketball that you're exploring, like this is the time. This is crunch time. And so, yeah, I was like, yeah, he should have been talking about this music thing a long time ago. Like, he should have been eased that into the conversation.
What I'm saying. So, like, okay, so we're again, I need to give Dawn her some props here because we're all mad at Dawn because she's doing this, she's doing that, but if she did not push him, if she did not do this, what would he have amounted to? You know what I'm saying? Like, even her pointing him in the direction of him, like, at least being like, oh, well, I don't want this. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you have a kid who's not as focused as Justin, sometimes just giving them structure helps them. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. That's one of the main things that helps with ADHD. You know, again, she might have taken it too far, but he himself didn't know what he wanted to do. But like, I don't think I don't want us to be unfair to her because honestly, again, if she didn't do it, what was going to happen? You know what I'm saying?
I think my biggest issue with Dawn is the one moment where he's telling her, I don't feel like you're listening to me. And she's like, no, and I'm not going to listen to you. And she basically just shut it down. And I understood what she was saying. Like, yes, if he did everything that he was going to do, again, this was her alma mater, so you're a legacy.
You're a legacy,
right? You and
rich.
Obviously he has
got money
connection. He has the money. If he gives a strong essay, early decision, it was the right, like, from outsiders looking in, it was absolutely the right decision for her to do what she did, because that was his way into college. Now, was it the right thing for him? I don't know. There's a conversation sometimes I would like us to have about pushing these children at 18 years old to decide what they're going to do for the rest of their life.
That word forever. Exactly. There it is again. Yeah. Yeah. Making decisions forever at 17, 18 years old is crazy.
Yeah. And for some children, like we're seeing with like a Justin, like he got there, but I think that's because he had a Keisha in his life to get there. And sometimes that is what happens. You don't know. Like, you don't know what. Now there's people like me who I knew exactly what I wanted to do from probably I was in like elementary schools, either be a doctor or an accountant. And I'm an accountant. And even now, what did I say to you, Chappell? I said, if I could travel and eat and do this for the rest of my life,
this stuff. Yeah.
I would be happy, right? And accounting is nowhere in that. But again, those are the conversations that I think need to be had, but they're not being had, because at this point, when you turn 18, when you're headed out through graduation, you got to pick a college, you got to pick a major, you got to pick where you're going to go with the rest of your life. And I feel like at this point, it's unfair, because there aren't always kids who are good or do well with school.
Yeah, I agree.
They took trades out of the school in most schools for them to even learn how to do a trade, because you know what? Some of those trades make you good money. Electrician, even music technology, and like those pieces aren't even in the school for them to try to say, hey, maybe I would be better at that than something like, you know, a scientist or whatever it is that they're pushing the kids to go to nowadays. So those are the conversations that need to be had. Unfortunately, I don't think a lot of parents know to have those with their children. So it's like, I have those conversations with my kids. Like, do you want to go to college? If the answer is yes, why do you want to go to college? What are you going to major in? So that we can decide like how you're going to apply and look at your college resume in order to apply. Now, I have a kid who's decided he's going to the NBA, and I've told him he needs to have a backup. Does he listen to me? Absolutely no. But that's it. We'll find out. NBA. So we will find out. I'm going to be in the AAU circuit where we're going to be year-round basketball.
There you go.
That is what he's saying. So I have to support him.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Dawn never says don't pursue music. She says go to college and pursue music. She said that's fine. You can go to Northwestern and do that. But he's not offering her an alternate plan. He's just saying, I don't know if I want to go to college. You're like, then look, you don't know what you want to do. So just go. Figure it out while you're there. You know, he's like, but what he's really trying to get at is, I don't like school. I hate school. I don't want to do school no more.
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to say. He can't figure out how to say the words.
He couldn't say it. And I hate that he waited until freaking, he let her think for 6 months that he was going. I know that's jumping ahead, but that pissed me off too.
I think it was just going into that room though and seeing like all those white faces. And I did say on Twitter, a lot of people don't factor in how hard it can be to be in predominantly white spaces for most of your educational career. And I think it was just like going to that little brunch breakfast thing and realizing he's going to be in a very similar environment that he did not want to be in. And I think that's when he was just like, nah, I can't do this. But I agree. That pissed me off that he waited so long. And I think it pissed Keisha off at that point, because it was like, I told you this back in December.
Yeah. So we do get a couple time jumps, especially one where he ends up cutting his hair. They are celebrating her getting her full ride to Howard University. Now, luckily for us, we have an expert of Howard University here on this very podcast. Martin, Tell us, how do you feel here that your school is like now the face of, hey, I know you going there, but I could go there too. It's black people there. I can figure it out with the blacks. I can do that.
Woo, love it. We say on this podcast all the time, invest in HBCUs.
Do it.
Take your talents to HBCUs. It is an experience you'll never ever forget. I was so happy that Howard was like character number 3. No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
character
literally.
Number 3. But you know what I'm saying? It was a subplot.
It was high up there.
It was definitely a subplot, and so I
love. Had it in Justin's family, right? Like his uncle Charlie was like,
he went to Howard.
So you applying to Howard, right? And the thing is, if at that moment, knowing how much Howard was also on Keisha's list, if he really wanted to go, that would have been the moment that he could collude with Uncle Charlie to go to Howard. But it wasn't that much of a factor for him at that point then too.
And I love how Keisha made all of the points. Like I said, she was like, I could go and be a big fish in a small pond in Howard on the track team, then kind of get lost in the PWI. And honestly, that's the truth, because we are very bad at athletics. So like, if you like again, Justin could have got on that team. Like, that is the way to do it. Okay, like bring your talents to an HBCU. But like I said that to say, like, again, it's going to an HBCU it's a 4-year experience that you're never gonna get anywhere else, more likely. You know what I'm saying? You have the rest of your life to be around people who are white or not of your race or ethnicity. You can go somewhere for 4 years, discover who you are, and then reintroduce yourself to the world. It's not a hindrance on your life at all. So I love that this was her goal. I love that she achieved her goal. Like nothing funny. Like again, nothing funny, nothing traumatic. Like nothing like because there was a few times in those early episodes where she was just kept saying, "I just want to get to Howard. I just want to get to Howard. I just want to get to Howard." And I was like, "I want to get to Howard." I
was sitting there like,
because we're so used. We're traumatized. We're so used to Ricky. Like we're so
exactly to the okie doke, you know.
Like the characters be like, I gotta just get to this goal, and they never get to that goal. So yeah, that was cute that they celebrated her full ride to Howard at his dad's restaurant. We could see his dad's restaurant, so that was cool.
Oh, I love that whole scene. Like Keisha's got the afro going. We can saw Justin had the haircut. But I love also that we find out even more about Eric. Like the fact that we find out he's from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He never, went to college. And because I think Chappell, you said, I think his dad, went to college and all this stuff. No, dad never went to college. He is from my home, the city of my birth, Brooklyn. When he was talking about Linden Boulevard, like I know exactly what he was talking about. And just that, whoever wrote that about the restaurant, I love that. That was beautiful, because that is what Brooklyn is. Like Brooklyn is such a melting pot of not just cultures, but food and like everything that you could bring across the spectrum. And you learn so much from all the different cultures. And I was so happy to see him mentioning it, that's why he did his restaurant the way he did it. So that was a great scene. Great scene.
Yeah, I was looking at Justin Crazy though when he started saying like, well, maybe I'll just go to Berkeley or NYU and then we could just be together. And I was like, all right, I can already see where this is going. Those are the conversations, the hard conversations you have with these forever ass kids, the ones that have like decided that I'm gonna chase my person across the world no matter what. I said, oh, he's losing the plot already. He's not even focusing on, like, he hasn't asked what majors they got at that school. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just like, oh yeah, I'll go to Berkeley and do music. It's like, you just gonna go to Berkeley. You just gonna go like to Berkeley? Okay, fine. Like it's that easy.
College at that point,
right? Like you just gonna get in. Like you just think you just finna walk. Like I'm sure I'll just get into NYU.
Again, what was his GPA? Because I was under the impression that it was not good.
Right.
Yes, junior year was 2.7, which is what they use when you're applying. So I was so confused because I was like, wait, how? What?
he think Northwestern is rigorous, but you about to go to NYU? Okay, Justin. And so I was like, sure, kid. So I was already noticing that, okay, we've lost the plot here and that he's doing things, you know, to be closer to Keisha. Now, one foil I had not suspected is that her dad, he might be absent, but he coming back around for this. And so dad pops up and he is disruptive. And that's the best way I could call it. Like she says disruptive, and honestly, it's the best way to put it. He's like, he flirting with mama, kind of getting her kind of loopy. He's like loud, and he's of course doing the thing that, oh, I hate this so much. I don't care about dating your family. I don't care about I don't need all of this. Like what you about to do, what you about to go. Sir, I have parents. And so when he starts coming down on Justin about what he's going to do, where he's going to go, what's he going to do, kind of in the protective way. I think all the parents are moving in a very protective way. But it's a lot for a kid, especially a kid like Justin, who doesn't seem to like really do well in social interactions a lot of times. And her dad is being a lot. I'm talking about he's so busy trying to prove that he could live out his baseball dream and prove his dad wrong that he's now almost projecting his feelings about his own life on to Justin. At least that's how I read it, Mika.
Oh, that's what I got. It was overcompensation and projection, which seems to be a theme in a lot of these parents. But I will say I love me some Will Caleb, but he played a character I could not stand in this. Yeah. And so to him, because I liked
he looked familiar. What else is he from?
He was in Lovie's, Mara Brock Akil's.
There's
a few things he's been in. He's been in a lot of stuff, so I couldn't even like list about. But he's done dramatic roles. He's done roles like this where he is like a love interest, the main love interest to a female character. So and I did love those little nuances. Like I'm looking and there's like a lot of the characters were from shows that I loved. Their playing a love story. So like Niles Finch, who plays Justin's best friend, he was in This Is Us. He played young Randall, and in that he again a young love story. They meet in college and then they have this amazing love story. So those kinds of things. But Dad is really just, for some reason, I think he took what Keisha was seeing in Justin and made it a negative. Now, he did also give good advice at one point, so we'll get there, but it was a lot of projection because I think he just saw himself like doing the things that he probably did to Shelly on purpose, as if Justin was going to do those things on purpose to Keisha. And that's just not the type of person that Justin is. And so he was projecting, and also he was overcompensating for the fact that he ain't been there. And especially at this point, he probably knows about the sex tape and he wasn't there for that either. So it's like, you're putting all these things of 18 years of parenting onto this one situation. And that was very unfair to Keisha and unfair to Justin, because he basically disrupts at that point as well the thinking that Justin is having about the relationship. He really did. Like, he's the one that kind of sowed those little seeds of doubt into their relationship, that they might not make it. Whereas I think before he had some doubts, then it was just like major doubts. Like, maybe we can't get through this. Like, this is a stumbling block.
He does the thing where he like, oh, you make music, where your music at? Play your music then. You know, it's like, this is Keisha's party. This is not about you trying to intimidate this boy. But when he tells him something to the effect of, if you're gonna make a career out of this, you got to control the market. You got to do the beats, you got to do the vocals, you got to do everything. Like, you got to be Kanye. That, I think that is, like you're saying, that's where the uncertainty starts to come in, because it's like Justin just started to follow this line of thinking that music is something he could do, and now immediately this man is coming in being like, you're not confident enough, you don't have this, you're not doing this right, you're not doing this right. I think the theme here is, though, everybody is still saying you got to pick something and focus on it. you know, for you to be saying music is my potential career. And he says, okay, well, let me hear something. It's like, well, this ain't even good. So it's like, yeah, it's not good yet because it's not my career yet. It's like, yeah, but like, when are you going to start? When are you going to start to make this a thing? Luckily for us, we know that Justin has been kicking it with the guy next door with the music, and so he's going to get better. But yeah, throughout this scene at the party, Mari, I was just hoping somebody would go in and save him because I could tell this was going to weigh on him throughout, and it really did.
Yeah, it did. And not only was he projecting like his parenting style and stuff on the Justin, like Mika said, it was also his own failed dreams. We get the story of how his dad was recruited from the DR to come play baseball, and he was drafted, but then he was never picked up. He was drafted to the minor leagues and was never picked up to the major leagues. So when it was Keisha's dad time for him to get drafted, he gets drafted. And his dad projected his own failures onto him and said, yeah, you got drafted, but go to college. And he goes to college, and the coach that drafts him loses his job. So he doesn't get drafted again. He doesn't get to go to the major leagues. So he's chasing his baseball dream by going and playing overseas and being absent in Keisha's life. It's literally just generational trauma and generational projections and generational dream chasing that fails. That is what's contributing to him kind of going in on Justin here, like, oh, is this your dream? Music? Well, that you got to be better. You got to do better than this. Like, how are you going to make it if you can't do this? You know what I'm saying? So it's all projection. It's like these parents are just putting the weight of the world on these kids' shoulders.
Yeah. Like basically he wanted better for his daughter than him.
Yes. And this whole episode is what makes Justin be like, you know what, I'm just gonna go to Northwestern. This music thing's not a thing. I'll defer it for 4 years. And Keisha's like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. And like, as we talk about it, I'm like, man, this might be the most accurate portrayal of ADHD ever put on TV. Like, honestly, Justin's back and forthness.
I got a lot of messages about this show because people were seeing a lot of me and Justin, because I am very much an ADHD kid. I also went to college undecided. I did not have a major when I pulled up. And then that's what led me to going into college admissions, basically, like in college advising, is because I was the kid. I was the kid that everybody tells you about, the one who doesn't know where he's going, who's just like, I showed up at the school. I don't really know what I'm majoring in. I don't really know what I want to do. Like, I've been there. I've seen it. So I got a lot of like side eyes from people. I would say that, and they're probably listening to this and know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's so true, because it's like, because he doesn't have direction, anything could be my direction today. If you make a compelling enough point, I mean, what's my counter argument? I don't want to do that. It's like, okay, well, it's making everybody happy. It made his mom happy. For the first time, she actually seems like she's happy to be around Keisha. And he knows that.
Happy, like she took happy. That was so crazy.
Exactly. And so, but the only person who really can tell that he's just going along with emotions is Keisha. And she tells, like, you know, I don't have the luxury to dream big. I have to be practical. I have to go to a school that I can get into, that I'm going to do well at. But you can do whatever you want. You got a family that's got a little money behind you. You know, you can do this. And so it's true that the ADHD is just like, it's definitely hindering him. He doesn't want to take medication for it. He's clearly not focusing, like he's not giving himself the space to focus. And so this idea that I'm gonna be able to go to Northwestern, govern myself, all of a sudden become the most disciplined kid in the world, like just be somebody I'm completely not, and then focus on a music career on the weekends. These are real conversations you have, because they're not realistic. Can they happen? Sure. Yeah. But they're not realistic, you know? And it's like, okay, you have to know the risk you're taking here. You know, I tell parents all the time, if your kid was not a studier in senior year, it's going to be really hard for them to be a studier freshman year. Not to say that they can't do it, but do not expect your child to transform because they went to college. You know, like, I made it through. Yeah, look, I made it through. I got a couple of degrees, but it was a struggle. It was not like, and then I got to college, and then I buckled down, and I got no.
I might have to have some conversations with you, because that's right now my oldest son right now undecided, because he doesn't know, and I feel like it's fair, but he also does really well in school, so it's like. he has the tools. It's just like, how do you focus though? Because that's the part where I'm just like, okay, you need to do this. And he's just
and my mom wasn't really hands-on when it came to like the college. Like she made sure that I applied for college. She did, like definitely. But like I remember when I went up to orientation, not orientation. I went up on a campus visit by myself. I just like went up there with my friends. We just went up there and I was like, oh, this works. You know, and I told my mom like, this is cool. I want to go to. I actually wanted to leave the state and she told me I could not. And so we had that fight. I was trying to get the hell out. I was like, I got to go. But once I finally got to PV, I didn't have a major. And so it was like, that was my time to explore. But I definitely felt like there were times where I was behind because there were other people who knew exactly what they were doing. They were getting into the honor society for their major. And I was kind of like, I could join the honor society, but I don't even know if I want to do that, you know? So they're real conversations that people just don't really know how to have, especially when we find out that Justin, he's the first male on his dad's side to have to go to college, to decide to go to college. His dad is going to react really big to this when Justin gets in, because essentially on his side, he's a first generation college student. He's like, I like my family, we didn't do that. We don't know. Like you're the guy who did it. In my family, I was the first male to go to college. So it was like, there was no other like older cousin who I could be like, hey man, tell me what happened. Like they weren't around. There was no person. It was just like, figure it out. And the same thing for my mom. She didn't go to a traditional 4-year school either. So it's like, we was out there just making it work. And so we'll see that is another thing where it's like, it's an accolade for sure to be the first to go and do something like that. But it's like a thin line between like accolade and also, are you putting the weight of this accomplishment on this kid's back? Because now, imagine how hard it is, Mari, for him to tell his dad he don't want to go to college now.
That's exactly. Everybody mad at Dawn. But what's his name? Eric over here talking about how he's so proud of him for being the first male. I was like, y'all don't think that was pressure? Y'all don't think that was pressure?
It was pressure. And the thing is that Eric didn't even, I don't think he realized how much of a big deal it was. So it's like, it was pressure, but it was like not what he meant to do, but it just happened because he was so proud of his accomplishment. It just sucked all around, because I just feel like the like you're saying, the conversations that should have been had weren't being had properly, which is kind of why I said, like, I feel like where Dawn went wrong is when he was expressing doubt and saying, listen, I just don't think you're listening to me, was the moment where she should have said, all right, hands in, Eric, let's sit down, let's have this conversation. He's having these doubts. I think this is the best route. What do you think? Like, if he's having true doubts and he's like undecided, should we do this? And, you know, have that come to Jesus moment with the entire family. And that's what I feel like the piece that was missing at that point.
I agree.
So one of the last good pieces of advice we get from Keisha's dad is that she sits down and talks to him, and he asks her basically, is Justin making you the prize? Like, are you the most important thing in this kid's life right now at the tender age of 17, going on to 18? Like, are you, like, is he doing all this stuff for you? Because he says that boys that love you don't mean to hurt you, but sometimes you just get hurt anyway, and that she needs to focus on her and not put all her eggs in that basket. And I think she does heed this advice. You know, the moments where Justin comes to her later on and says, what if I just go to school with you? What if I just go to Howard? Like, I like black people. I could do this. The prom was lit. Y'all do that all the time. You know, let me come. She like, hold on. Let me stop you right there. You know, this is my dream, and you are about to do a thing that you don't even want to do. You don't like college. So you don't like the idea of going to school. So going to Howard is not going to change that. It's still a school, Mari. I think that's the problem. The problem with HBCUs, Mari, as two people who went to them, is that sometimes people forget that we be at school. Because I had to remind people a billion times, like, I'm in college. What do y'all think we doing here?
Yeah, I'm learning and getting a degree.
Excuse me? I'm educated. There are lawyers here, doctors. What are you talking about?
Business people and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It was just that whiplash of, oh, now let me just cling on to you. And she's just like, no, sir. Like, and even before that, the thing in the pool where he's like trying to convince her to do things without a condom and stuff like that, that definitely set off red flags in her head because she's like, oh no, you're not finna trap me. Like,
right. What was he doing, Mark? Was he trying to
right.
trap that girl?
I don't know. I'm probably not intentionally. I don't think it was intentional, but like it's just like I see why Keisha started to pull back. It's like we we can't keep doing these same things. You know what I'm saying? They they make up at the New Year's party where it's their 1 year anniversary, and they from there they're like, let's agree that we're just gonna have fun. And they kind of just like sweep everything under the rug until it all boils over after prom. And it's just like Keisha's like, I know what you really want to do. This ain't it. You have to get a backbone and do what you need to do for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he spent the first couple episodes preaching to her that she needed to talk to her mama and daddy. And by this time she's telling him, talk to your parents because you don't want to go to college. You don't want to go to college to be with me. You don't know what it is you want to do, or maybe you do and you're just afraid to say it. And so after our little 6-month time jump, we do get prom and him bringing up Howard and her immediately like hesitating and like, I don't know about all of this. Like, you're not about to make your life about me. I felt that in my soul, like, hey, because then you're gonna put it on me if you're not happy, and I don't need that. Like, you need to go do what makes you happy right now. So prom kind of was rough. They go to prom, they had a good time, but when they got back to the hotel, it was like it wasn't great. Mika, I really was surprised that throughout this series, this is where we ended up, right before it's time to go. Like, she's got, like, they had less than 6 months at New Year's. She's about to go to Jamaica. She's about to go visit I think her dad as well. She's on the way out. And by this time, they're not even like, they're not on the same page. She ends up leaving him a voicemail and basically saying, like, we need to talk, basically. And they really need to get down to the conversations that need to be had, because it looked like he was just going to dance around them until it was time for graduation.
Yeah. I mean, we saw like they had a brief stopping point in New Year's. And shout out again to Chloe and I forget his best friend.
I forget his name.
I forget his
Darius.
name. Darius. Yeah. Shout out, because listen, they're real ones. They love themselves some Justin and Keisha like us, and they were like, nah, y'all not gonna do this again. Y'all gonna get this together, and they brought them back together. But I do feel like these are actual real life conversations that have to be had. It's like, you saw when she was like kind of celebrating her getting into Howard, and her signing day for her track, like he didn't know what to do with himself, because like he wanted to be with her, but also he kind of knew that she needed to like be like, with other people. But it was increasingly, he was realizing, oh, how am I going to separate us? And I feel like kind of like what happened before. And Keisha does kind of say this to him, like, he put the wall up. He put the wall up to like stop the potential pain that was like the train was coming. And that's also kind of what Dad was trying to tell him in the summer. Like, you can't block out the pain, because at some point you have to either figure it out and push past it, or you have to like, you just have to figure it out at some point. And that is the point that we've gotten to, right? So they need to figure out what their relationship is going to look like in the future. And it can't just all be about him being sucked onto her.
Yeah. And so they finally have the conversation. He goes to his little Northwestern event, sees all the white folks, and basically sees his mama engaging in all the conversations he should be engaging in for him, and realizes, all right, I can't do this no more. And he comes back and he tells Keisha, look, you are supposed to go off to school. Maybe that's a thing that you're supposed to do, but I got to figure out what I got going on. Like, I really got to sit with what I need to do. and I only have so much time to figure it out. I don't want to weigh you down. And so they have the conversation, and he even asked her, like, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm tripping, right? And she says, well, look, if you're going to break up with me, make sure it's worth it. Don't break up with me for you to go to Northwestern and be miserable. Don't break up with me for you to go to community college and then go to another school and be miserable. Break up with me, but then fight for what you want and talk to your parents about not spending the next 4 years being someone that you are not. And so this is when they have to separate. And we see the breakup, but we see it from both sides this time. Normally we see the breakup and we kind of like, okay, he did a thing and she blocked him, or she did a thing and he blocked her or whatever. And now we see in like almost like the most adult decision that they've made as a pair, which is, although we keep saying forever, maybe forever is later, maybe it's after this. Maybe we will get to forever. But right now, this ain't it. And so he goes to tell his parents, he like, did y'all already pay for that tuition? Because early decision, like, what do we?
Let me just tell you, if I had already paid for that tuition, I don't give a.
You going to that school?
You're going to for the year. You're
going for the year.
Yeah, whatever I pay,
whatever it is.
Because I was like, oh, so they were paying. No wonder Keisha kept trying to tell him, like, you can stop this, because there's no reason if they were paying. No, but that's kind of like what I said about the prom. There would have been no way I would have went to the prom with Christian. So again, they all made bad decisions at some point. It's just
early locks you in. For most schools, if you go to school, you don't have to pay until you have attended a day of class. Like once you walk into once you have sat down in class, boom, you are a student. But if you like no show and never show up, they'll just drop you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of like, you won't like, don't pay nothing. They'll drop you for sure. Oh no, this early decision got you locked in, kid. He like, so how much money we spent on that Northwestern? Like, his mama took it way better than I thought. Like, she took it way better.
They at least probably paid room and boarding. Rooming and board, at least.
You don't get accepted for early the acceptance if you're not willing to commit to those things. That's why it was so
like May, maybe like.
Yeah, and that's why it was such a big plot point that it had to be early decision, because it was like, if it wasn't early decision, he got in like normal, then he have the summer to figure it out. They can pay whenever they. No. Early decision means you come into this school.
Yes, that's so funny.
I think the only thing that stops early decision is if you say like, "Oh, we can't afford. You didn't give me enough scholarship money, basically."
Right, we can't afford it.
We can't afford it.
Yeah, and so. Yeah, so we don't actually know if they paid the tuition or not.
I pray they did not pay that tuition, although we did hear he deferred, so maybe
he did defer. So we get to graduation. Keisha seemingly graduates second in her class. She still gets to do her speech, and and it does show that she's learned a lot, and that she's one of the things that she learned is that she is worthy of love and grace. If we don't take anything else from this, it is that she made a mistake. And that although she felt like this has ruined my life, I have to change schools, I have to hide this from my mom, I can't tell nobody, I should be ashamed of this. She was then granted grace by the people that loved her the most. And so, that's a good takeaway for sure. Justin, however, he graduates and he don't really look that happy about it. He kind of look like he's just going through the motions, just going to graduation so he don't get fined. But now he's starting to think about, okay, now I'm leaving graduation. He's done. He's finished high school. The first thing he does is goes over and starts working on the beats again with Rodney. And I was like, this is the type of focus everybody's been trying to get you to have. Is that like, you need to have a goal in mind to move toward, and you need to start putting your efforts toward it. And so like here we see that once he left that school behind, he went immediately toward the task he was supposed to do. He has a plan. He's talking about getting a music engineering certification while he's not in school. He tells Keisha after a couple months when they link back up that he has plans to get his life together and to, like you said, he's deferring. He's going to get the cert. He's going to, like, he's not going to Chicago. He's now making those decisions that everybody has been trying to get him to focus on to make. And so, 2 months later, they're saying their goodbyes. They go off to get ramen. And I don't know. To me, I felt like this is where I was really starting to say, like, all right, I'm so happy that there's a season 2. Because he tells her that, he admits that if it wasn't for the time that he hijacked the driver's ed car and drove across town and got in trouble and was forced to get on that computer, he would have never found his old beats. And one of them he ends up selling to Rodney. And it was because of their interaction, right? That ripple effect, that butterfly effect. Like, had they never done those things, this would have never led him to this point, which is potentially the thing that he could do forever. And so we will have to come back for season 2 to find out if forever is going to happen. Mika, anything from the last episode that you want to point out before we wrap?
So I don't know if either of you watch Insecure.
Of course. This is a Mari breathes Insecure. I have a PhD in Insecure. This is our conversation to have. Team Lawrence forever.
Okay, not that, but Lawrence, that scene and oh god, I forget which, but the
Mari, you know what episode?
The season before.
Season 5.
Yeah,
5.
You know the episode
with the lights.
Sorry,
with the lights, where they're standing in front of each other in front of the lights,
and we get that moment. And I was like, oh, this is so insecure with that moment. I'm just like, no, they've got to be each other's forever, right? Like the Keisha's in the blue light, he's in the red light. Like we know that they're meant to be in some way. I don't know what the way is, but they're meant to be in some way. We just got to find out. So I'm excited for season 2. Like all that part did was make me excited because everybody kept saying, not everybody, a lot of people kept thinking it was a limited series. And I was like, this does not give me limited series 5. I think it didn't give me one or done either, but I think it was like either one or done, or we have like a few seasons. I'm not saying that it should be, 10 seasons in a movie or whatever Grey's Anatomy is on, but I did feel like we could go for more seasons. And so that is what I got from this. And it's like them having that conversation. And it's like, you're kind of just like, kiss her, but you're also kind of like, don't kiss her. Because it's like that long, she's still wearing his necklace.
Yeah. The infinity necklace forever.
Yes. Yeah. Forever. Right. It just is like, oh God, like what does forever actually mean? I feel like we just tapping into what forever means for these two.
Yeah, I mean, I love a good limited series. I love a good limited series. I love a one and done as long as you wrap it up well. And
looking at you, the changeling.
We hear because I was like,
right. Because y'all need y'all ass whooped, but whatever.
So like I would like I said with How to Die Alone, I would be perfectly fine with it in here. I think I was actually lying to myself on How to Die Alone.
You was lying.
Very devastated.
The nail is in the coffin. You're like,
very devastated. I was hoping that I would, because I normally reverse manifest stuff. But anyways, so like I'm excited about season 2, but like if they had, I would have been fine. Like truly, I would have been fine. But I'm just glad as long as they come back, as long as it's like not traumatic. I love this Black coming of age story that did not focus on overt trauma, Black trauma. It's just like everyday life stuff. Like I love that.
Yeah, that episode 5 was just so like a true coming of age, like you see it in the movies, like we saw it with The Wood and like all those types of movies.
I love The Wood. Oh my god!
Like we saw those moments, right? And in this, we are in that time period with usually with those movies. That's the flashback that we get, right? And so that's kind of why I am excited for more seasons, because I feel like we can keep getting this nostalgia of them in this time period, but now we're going to see them progress in ways that I feel like I think kids need. I think kids, and even older adults, right? Like I think they need to see it when it comes to like #Black Love, like how that those stories actually grow, which is why I'm excited for more seasons.
Yeah. Okay. Here's my thing. You got me now. But you can't wait 4-5 years to bring me the next season. Like that is not
They're
going to work for
definitely gonna do
Chappelle.
that.
I don't play
They're
like that.
definitely gonna do that.
No,
I
please.
don't play like that
This is
at
not
all.
Blume. Please don't do this.
Right, I can't. I don't do it. I can't do it. Y'all, y'all got 30 minutes. You know, you have 30 minutes to wrap this up. Like y'all have 30 minutes. Y'all need to get on the ball. I want to see this next year, okay? Because I'm not gonna be around for the 4th season of this. 3 years from now. Like it ain't gonna happen. Not me. So I figure it out, and bring it to us quickly so that we have something to talk about, and so we have another reason to bring back Mika. So thank you so much for joining us. This has been so much fun. Thank you all for commenting. I see y'all in the comments, and Tia, Jay Webb. I see y'all. Shout out to y'all and thank y'all for always following and supporting. Mika, what else do you have going on in your world right now?
Oh, so we are headed, as I said before, Love Island season is going to start in 2 weeks. So, which means in 1 week, we will get cast assessments from me and Chantel. So join my channel for when the cast drops. Then we're going to discuss the cast. Then the entire series of Love Island episodes where we are basically chatting to you guys every day. You will find me on my channel going live, usually around 9 or 10 p.m. So I'm excited for Love Island season. That'll pretty much bring me through the summer. And then I will see what we're covering in the fall. Probably I might delve into a bit of The Amazing Race, which is actually one of my favorite competition shows. But this year, there's a Big Brother spin to it. So
yeah,
I might actually cover that this year. So join my channel just to see what I'll be doing. I do have some other endeavors I keep trying to start off. So I have Patreon, which I do a lot of Marvel and some other scripted shows on. And as I said, I'm going to be starting a Substack vlog. So I'll be covering things that I don't necessarily cover on my channel on a daily.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to see what's coming next. Thank you so much for joining us. Mari, what about you? What you got going on?
Well, over on Crime Scene, me and Sarah Carradine bring True Crime Tuesdays to you in your ear holes. Go to crimescenepod.com in order to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. You can go to @CrimeScenePod on Blue Sky. And I guess the other place too. Please go to buymeacoffee.com/crimescenepod. Sling us a few dollars. We're doing things. We're posting stuff over there. It's so fun. So this week, me and Sarah talked to official third chair SDB. We talked to her about documentary. Docu-series on Max called it always escapes me at the last freaking second.
Get you every time.
Every single time. The Bakersfield 3. Bakersfield 3, Murder and Motherhood, I think is the tagline. It was a pretty interesting docuseries. We had a great conversation about it. It's up now this week. So it follows the story of two missing persons and a drive-by shooting victim that happened within a span of a few months in 2018 in Bakersfield, California, and how the moms of the 3 victims come together to try and get justice for their kids when the police department isn't really doing what they should be doing. And as the case unfolds, there is an interesting twist when it comes to how the victims are intertwined. So very interesting conversation. So just go check that out on Crime Scene Pod. That's crime SEEN pod.com. Find me on Blue Sky at Mari Talks Too Much. I'm over there. I'm having lots of fun. I'm yapping more. Gotta yap more. Gotta make sure we're yapping more, especially with Big Brother coming soon and all of that. So that's it. That's it for me for right now.
All right. Thank you, Mari. Well, here on Recap Kickback, we're still popping the balloon every week. Chantel and I are coming back for episode 7 of Pop the Balloon Live. It's been so much fun.
They came back for episode 7.
I think they had a contract and they had to fulfill their duties. I don't know if there will be an episode 8. But if there is, Chappell and I will be back to talk about that. And then over on the Nothing But Netflix podcast, Xosha and I are talking about Sneaky Links, this new dating show about hooking up with your side piece or your sneaky link and trying to decide if you can make that work. And so Xosha and I are dropping the premiere episode recap, and then we're going to review the entire series and reunion on the Nothing But Netflix podcast. So check that out at Nothing But RHAP on Twitter. And on Blue Sky, and just follow the podcast guy going to nothingbutpod.com to subscribe. And then, of course, you can catch me on RHAP talking about Survivor at various times. We're wrapping up the Survivor series. And then, as Mika pointed out, Big Brother is on the way. And so check out that. Make sure you follow me and Mari to keep up with our Big Brother takes as the summer is coming. And then I've been crowdsourcing. I've been asking people the questions. Do you want us to talk about the Flavor of Love? And people are saying yes. And so I think we might have to bring the Flavor of Love content. I'm still working on the logistics of that. But I think we're going to do it. Just why not? Why the hell not? And so make sure you tune into Recap Kickback and see all the other stuff we have coming your way as well. It's going to be a great time. So that's it for Mika, for Mari, and for myself. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here. We'll catch you all next time as we talk about whatever else is coming soon in Black entertainment news. All right, peace. I've been trapped behind Maria, isolated like it's North Korea. Smaller city with some bigger dreamers. The wall is cracked, I'm looking in between it. The world is yours, but man, I gotta see it. They say it's hard, but man, I gotta see it. The air I'm breathing can't feel my chest. Wait on life, I wanna hold my breath. I'ma get in my goddamn self.